That is what it means to say. Study to show thyself approved unto God. The original meaning is, the word study is a word English which does not mean to say study the book. It simply means to say be diligent. Be diligent. Be ready to stand in the presence of God. And when you stand in the presence of God, God is going to inspect you. God is going to inspect you. God is going to scrutinize you. God is going to tell you what kind of ministry you have done, what kind of teaching you have taught, what kind of life you have led. And if you wrongly divide the word of God and mislead people, the judgment of God is more on the teachers than the hearers. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. Suppose you teach something out of your mind, out of your reasoning, neglecting the word of God, taking out from the word of God, or adding to the word of God. The day will come when you are going to be ashamed in front of all the servants of God. The Lord has to say, Mr. So-and-so, this is the doctrine that you have taught, which is contrary to the word of God. And you misled so many people with regard to salvation, with regard to heaven, with regard to hell. My dear friends, you know, among Christians in the churches, there are people that don't believe in a place called heaven and hell. They say there is no heaven, no hell, it is only a state of mind. But the Bible tells us those are two literal places where people go when they die. Where people go when they die. So there is a lot of false teaching around us. And you must know what is right, what is false. And that is the reason you have enrolled yourself in the Good News Bible College to learn the Word of God to some extent, so that you would rightly divide the Word of God, so that you would be able to give right interpretation to the people. If you don't know the right interpretation, you have to take enough time and study the Word of God, rather than misleading people. Rather than misleading people. To be approved by God means to present ourselves before God for inspection. Well, what are we supposed to do for rightly dividing the Word of God? Number one, Paul is saying, study. In other words, he means to say, be diligent. This is not only Paul, even Peter also said in chapter 3, 1 Peter, I will not read because my time is running. Chapter 3, verse 15 and 16. Peter is saying to all the saints, be ready to answer to anyone who would ask you the reason for the faith which is in you. Be ready to answer anyone, to give answer to anyone who would ask you the reason for the faith that is in you. In other words, suppose somebody would ask you, why did you become a Christian being born in India? We have so many religions. Why you did not become a Hindu? Why did you embrace foreign religion? That is the accusation. Suppose you say, I don't know, my grandfather was a Christian, my father was a Christian, and I am a born Christian. Which means to say, you don't know who you are, what you are, from where you are, you don't know your roots, you don't know why you became a Christian. And if somebody listens that kind of answer, saying, be ready to give an answer to anyone who would ask you the reason for the faith that is in you. If somebody would ask you, why did you become a Christian? Or if somebody would ask you, why did you become a minister? Why did you take up a job in the secretariat? Or some other government sector? You must be ready to give an answer. Be diligent. And not only that, to divide the word of God rightly, not only be diligent, you need to have